Use elimination method to find all solutions of the system of equation. Now, since there is an x and an x squared, I can't combine these, so I can't eliminate that. The y squareds are the same, so I can't eliminate that. So that's what I'm going to go for. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just add them the way they are. So I get 2x squared plus x, so that just actually becomes 2x squared plus x. I can't combine those. And then this goes away, and then I get 3 minus 4, which is negative 1, equals 0. Now that y is eliminated, I need to solve this quadratic. So I can either factor or I can use the quadratic formula. So if I factor, I want two things that multiply to negative 2, but add to 1. That'll be 2 and negative 1. So I can rewrite this as 2x squared, and since putting the negative first is actually easier, I'm going to put the negative first. 2x minus 1 equals 0. Factor out of this is going to be an x. So I go x, 2x minus 1. Nothing comes out of the next one, so I'm just going to put a 1. 2x minus 1 equals 0. So this factors out to be 2x minus 1 and x plus 1, which equals 0. Now using the zero product property, what makes that 0 is 1/2. So x equals 1/2 and x equals negative 1. Now that I have these two numbers, I know my answer is going to be, there's going to be 2 points. One of them is going to be 1/2 and then something. The other one's going to be negative 1 something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug 1/2 into either one of the equations. Now it's going to be easier if I plug it into the top one, so I don't have to square. So plugging this 1/2 back into here, I end up getting 1/2 minus y squared plus 3, which is actually 6/2 if you get common denominator, equals 0. So then I end up getting negative y squared plus 7/2 equals 0. Subtract 7/2 of both sides. Divide by a negative. Square root. So I end up getting y equals plus or minus the square root of 7 over 2. Now, if you notice, this has two outputs for one input. So there's actually going to be 2 points with 1/2 as my x value. So it's going to be 1/2 square root of 7 over 2. And there's going to be another point that we didn't know about, 1/2 negative square root of 7 over 2. Now let's plug in negative 1. So now I'm going to plug negative 1 into this equation. So I get negative 1 minus y squared plus 3 equals 0. That's going to be negative y squared plus 2 equals 0. Negative y squared equals negative 2. Divide by negative y squared equals 2. So y equals plus or minus the square root of 2. Once again, I get two answers. One of them is the square root of 2. And then I have another one, if I have negative 1, is going to be the negative square root of 2. And these are actually my 4 answers. Now I was really curious to see how it would intersect 4 times. So I graphed it, and this is a parabola, so that's going to be this piece right here. And this is actually an ellipse, which you'll learn later. And if you notice, if you connect them, they actually intersect 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And if you look, the x value here is negative 1. So that's going to be these two answers. So this one is this one, and this one is this one. And then this one will be this answer, and this one would be this answer. So I just wanted to include that in the video because I thought that was pretty interesting.